going on? Well, it's about 20 degrees outside with the index of about 16. I'm in North Platte, Nebraska. It's cold outside. I guess that kind of brings me to my point. Replying to a guy on one of my videos is I haven't really brought this up yet, but I've kind of been meaning to, and I might as well now, is APUs on the trucks in this company. And probably that's, in my opinion, I think that's probably the worst thing about this company. Out of all the things you could complain about this company, I'd probably say their biggest fucking flaw is that they don't they don't believe in putting APUs in all their trucks. Which personally, I think it's kind of ridiculous. I think that's like having AC in your car. You don't buy a car without AC as a fucking option. You used to be able to. My dad bought a truck with fucking no AC. He didn't option it, but my dad's like that. I feel like if you own a trucking company, that should come with the package. I mean, some companies, they buy completely optioned out trucks. TMC, Stevens Transport does. There's a couple other companies that do too. But the companies like this, they buy base model trucks with very little options. And in orientation, the fuel guy, representative from the fuel department, will come in and talk to you about this, that, and the other regarding fuel. And I actually asked the guy personally. I said, how come you don't have APUs in your trucks? And his response basically was that they didn't see a return on the investment because, I don't know the exact cost of them. I believe it's a couple $1,000s to add one to a truck, pay for it plus installation and shit, but which I went over in another video. Actually, I can't remember which video, but I was saying how that's fucking ridiculous. I actually I think I did the math on how an APU would be cheaper. Their costs, they pay for themselves, they in fuel savings. I think it's a stupid thing that they don't put APUs in the trucks. But that guy asked me, he said, so what do you do for heat and AC? Of course, everybody, the company's response is, well, every truck comes with a bunk heater, and they do. They come with a Webasto bunk heater, and it actually works well. It actually works really well. When I wake up I like to sleep with it cold, so I sleep with everything off. But when I wake up in the morning and it's 16 degrees, the dial is right there on the bunk, and I turn the dial all the way up, and I I stay in bed until that heater heats the cab up, and then I get up because it's fucking cold. So the bunk heater works good. It runs off a battery. You don't have to idle the engine. Big thing with trucks these days, at least. Definitely all the trucks that I've seen that have been made in the last couple of years, they have a 5-minute shutdown. A 5-minute idle shutdown. If you let the truck idle for 5 minutes, it dies automatically. I believe that's a CARB EPA requirement or some shit in the last couple of years. All trucks have to have a 5-minute shutdown or some shit like that, I believe. So if that's the fucking case, if it's the law for trucks to shut down after a certain amount of time, why not fucking use APUs? Now, here's the difference. I have a Freightliner, and the Freightliners, at least in this company, have optimized idle. I don't know about the brand. They're buying some brand new ones now. some brand new Cascadias. I don't know if they have optimized idle. I assume they do. I haven't, last time I was at the yard, I didn't look inside one to see. I should have. I was at the yard last week. Here's the Internationals. This company they bought a whole lot of Internationals. They don't have optimized idle. They idle based on outside ambient temperature. Now here's the shitty thing about that. Within a window of 32 degrees outside Fahrenheit and I believe 78 degrees Fahrenheit, the truck will not run. Above 78 degrees, it'll run all night. My trainer's truck was an International. But that's still shit in my opinion. Because there's a lot of times, it may be not so bad by yourself because the Internationals, they have windows in the sleeper. And that's kind of why I wanted one. I wanted one that had openable windows so I get fresh air. Freightliners don't have any fucking windows. They got little vents that suck. But when me and my trainer were in his truck, if it was 76 degrees outside, the truck would not run. That's regardless of fucking humidity, right? So if it's 76 degrees, it's humid as shit. You got two guys in a truck. I'd be sleeping on the top bunk. Even with the windows open and shit, it gets hot in that motherfucker, man. I talked a little bit about that on another video, but basically what I'm saying is, my optimized idle works pretty good for the most part. It has a thermostat built into the bunk, and it will idle to meet, the way it works is it'll meet that temperature, and then it'll shut the truck down. And when that temperature gets outside where it's supposed to, it's like the AC in your house. It'll start the truck back up automatically to reach that temperature, So I don't have that many problems with it. In fact, that's kind of why one of the reasons I don't want to be a trainer is because this is a single bunk truck. They're gonna move me out of it into another truck. I'll possibly get stuck in an International. It'll be a new truck, or at least relatively new. It'll be in good shape, but it won't have that optimized idle. And there, in all the Freightliner models, there's a way to beat that idle shutdown, whether it's optimized idle, and there's a couple other tricks that you can use. Like on my last recovery truck, optimized idle didn't work, but there's a trick that you can use to get it to continue running. The International does not fall for those fucking tricks. It will shut down no matter what the fuck you do. So that's not a really big deal in the wintertime. Not with a bunk heater, It's cold outside. I mean, if you're in the north, which we typically are, it's rare I get far down south. I almost never go to the Gulf Coast. That's where I live, too. I'd never get down there unless I'm going home. It's always, the north, So, that's the shittiest thing about this company, in my opinion, is that they don't equip their trucks with APUs. And there's other companies, I guess, that don't either, but I believe you can idle their trucks. In fact, I did a little bit of research about companies that don't use APUs, and as far as I've seen, Werner and Western are the only two companies I've come across, the only two big companies, is Werner and Western, that have 5-minute shutdowns with no APUs. Now, I mean, I have a friend that works for Werner. I talked to him the other day, and he says, he's got a Peterbilt, so he can beat the fucking idle shutdown of his truck. He knows the trick, and I don't know what model Peterbilt he's got, but he says he can beat his. So I know Werner runs a lot of fucking Freightliners, so I don't know if they come with optimized idle or what the fuck, but it's a shitty thing. It really is, But that's my point, man. Is this company, they're not gonna give you a rose garden. They're a good starter company, but it's like anything else. Name a job that you've worked, any job that you've ever worked, without having a fucking degree. I don't have a college degree. I have a diploma, a high school diploma. All the jobs I've ever worked, you got to start at the bottom and work your way up. You know, I worked in a restaurant, my first job, for 3 fucking years. I started out washing dishes, and it fucking sucked. I would, wash dishes till 2 a.m. in the fucking morning, get up at 6 and go to school, because I was a fucking junior in high school when I started doing that shit. Then I started busting tables. I actually made really good money busting tables. Good money, And then eventually I became a waiter and shit like that. Even when I worked construction, working controls, I started out $10 an hour, pulling wire, doing bitch work. Every job I've ever had, you start out for the most part doing bitch work. You're gonna start out with a lower pay grade. This industry is no different. There are some special circumstances. For the most part, if you're just a guy like me that went to CDL school and just came into the industry like, oh, I'm gonna drive a truck now, you're not gonna get some badass fucking truck, with APU, and you're gonna get really good money per miles, and you're gonna get a lot of miles and all this shit. It's not gonna work out that way. That's one of the reasons I made these videos, is because I want to let some people know that, like I said, you're not gonna get a Rose Garden here. You ain't gonna get one working at Werner or Stevens or, fucking Swift, Schneider, any of the fucking starter companies. You're not gonna get a Rose Garden. What I'm trying to say is, with this company, at least you can bring home a paycheck. You can bring, if you, my girlfriend's got kids, and we share the bills. I'm able to make enough money to where, I'm not like single, no bills and shit. I ain't gotta worry about shit. I've got bills to pay and shit. So you can come into this industry, you can come into this company, and if you work hard, you fucking hustle and you're smart, you can make the money that I told you in that other video. You know what I'm saying? But you're not gonna get the luxury of an APU. No, you're not. You can go to Stevens and get the luxury of an APU. Stevens has APUs on every truck in their fleet. They're gonna start you off at like 26 cents a fucking mile, which is fucking terrible, but hey, at least you get a nice truck, right? The problem with Stevens, in my opinion, other people could say I'm wrong, but the Stevens Transport, they're set up, their whole company is set up to turn company drivers into lease purchase drivers, because that's really the only way to make good money. And I've talked to some of their lease purchase guys, and they do well. I've talked to some people that say it's, their lease purchase program is shit, but I've talked to a couple of them that say they bring home good money, $2,000 a week after fucking taxes, take home, and that's good. But the point is, they pay their company drivers shit because they want to coax you into going lease purchase. That's what they do. You're in orientation, the lease purchase guy will come down and explain some shit to you. You have the option of going over the road training with a lease purchase guy to learn the ropes and shit. They want you to become lease purchase. I think that's why they start their company drivers off at shit. Fortunately, this company doesn't do that. This company has a lease purchase option, but they don't shove it down your fucking throat. If you're interested in it, you got to go ask. They're not gonna, hey, just in case anybody wants to be lease purchase, come talk to me, blah blah blah. Personally, I wouldn't sign a lease with this company. I'd wait until, obviously you got to get some experience. I don't think it's wise to just come into the industry and sign a lease. I think it's very fucking stupid. But I'd stick around for a while as a company driver, do okay, make some money, learn the industry, then go to a smaller company and lease a truck from them. Go to a company with 500 trucks or 100 trucks. Smaller the better. Where they care about their drivers. The person who owns it could be a female, male. Person who owns the company, they used to drive, their truck was truck one in the company, right? But anyways, to expand on what I was saying in that other video about miles and money, last week, and this kind of ties into the trucks, there's another question. My truck's been very good to me. I've had no problems with my truck. My truck runs very well. It was due for a PM about a month ago, and my DM finally told me, he said, hey man, bring that truck to the yard, get the PM done. Brought it to the yard. It cost me about a day and a half, because as soon as my truck got PM'd, once it got done, they had to PM the trailer that had my load on it. I had to wait for that trailer. But when they pull a truck in, any complaints you have about that truck, you can put on a work order and they will check that and they'll fix it. In fact, they fixed all kinds of shit that wasn't part of the PM, like a hub seal, a couple other things, like they fixed a brake chamber. They gave me all new drive tires, because two of my drive tires were worn out, so they replaced all fucking 4 of them. You know, so they actually go over these trucks, and really for the trailers with a fine-tooth comb, and they fix everything on them. Now, some of these trucks are older, and the trailers, the flatbed trailers, are old as shit. But you know, they break, they fix them. You know. Good thing about this company, they take good care of their trucks. You know, now I've talked to a couple guys that say, I'm in my 3rd truck in 2 months. You know, I've heard that a couple times. You're like, oh, you know, it's my 2nd truck, or you know, I'm still having a problem, like, you know. But I want to say, because there's they have a lot of older Freightliners, like mine's 2013. It's about 2.5 years old, right? And they have older trucks than mine, you know, in this company, but they're doing away with a lot of the old Freightliners. You know, they're doing away with a lot of them, and they're buying the shit out of new trucks. Anytime, if you ever go by the yard in Nashville, when you first pull up, the parking lot, the front parking lot, has got like maybe 50, 60 old Freightliners that are getting ready to auction off or sell. And then when you roll in, they've got every day in the fucking the maintenance line, they got a shitload of new trucks, new Freightliners. The van division gets Volvos, Freightliners Internationals. We get Freightliners Internationals, and they actually just started buying a couple Macs for the flatbed division. Which, you know, I haven't heard anything about them yet. They only bought a couple just to see how they do. But I'd like to try a Mac. I think that'd be kind of cool, you know. But anyways, yeah, that's what it is, man. I mean, when it's hot in the summertime, you may get stuck in an international that won't idle at 75, 76 degrees, you know. I talked to one guy who said his shit will never idle, and he's got an international, you know. I don't know, man. It is what it is, you know. But like last week, okay, I did that PM. Last week I only did like 1,300 miles because that PM fucked me up, and I had a T-call for the weekend fall through. So I only got 1,300 miles. So when I talked to my DM, you know, I said, what the fuck happened to my T-call? I sat all weekend, you know. But he said, yeah, I'm sorry, T-call fell through. And I said, well, can I get detention pay? And he said, yeah. And they pay me detention pay, you know. So, I mean, it's not the biggest check, but, you know, like this week, fuck, I ran a load. Can't remember where I was, Ohio or some shit. I just finished running a load way the fuck out to Colorado. Picked this load of lumber up in Wyoming, and this is that was a 900-mile load. This is a 1,400-mile load I'll deliver tomorrow, and I just got pre-planned for a 1,000-mile load. So 1,000 plus 1,400, 2,400 plus 900. Yeah, I'm gonna get 3,300 miles this week. You know, it's a good week. Last week sucked. This week's gonna be great. But last week sucked because I had to wait a day and a half for the truck and the trailer to get out the shop. You know, I mean, I'm not gonna complain about that. They're taking care of my truck. You know, I'm not gonna. You know, they take care of it now. I don't have problems with it later. But yeah, that's a shitty thing about this company. You may get stuck in an international that don't want to idle or something like that. But if it doesn't idle at all, you could tell the shop that, and they will fucking take care of it. You know, they will figure out what the fuck. You know, it's all computer based. They can sign in with a fucking computer and change that set point. You know, so I mean, I wouldn't I wouldn't tolerate a truck that doesn't run, you know, at all. It doesn't idle at night when it's hot. I wouldn't tolerate that, you know. Fuck that. But, you know, that's the shitty thing about this starter company, man. Guys at Warner gotta deal with the same fucking shit, you know. They're a starter company too, you know. You know, but you stay here, make your money, get your experience, go work for somebody else, man. You know, go get on with a company, a smaller company that only hires guys with 1 or 2 years experience, you know, or go run local, you know, go get you a regional gig, go make some money, you know. I mean, like I said, I've talked to a couple guys that've been here for a couple years and they like it, you know. They talked to a guy the other day, been here 4 fucking years. Talked to a couple guys, been here around 4 years, you know, and they love it, you know. All right, fucking, I gotta figure out, it's the morning, I gotta figure out when I'm gonna start driving. So I'm gonna make another video later that I've been wanting to make. So I'll do that. So any more questions, shoot them at me. I know I was kind of all over the place on this fucking video, and it's long as fuck, but whatever. I'm just rambling. All right, take it easy.